So, hello, good morning. I think there are pretty much participants now, and I think we can start the webinar. So, welcome to this information webinar on the ESA Open Space Innovation Platform. I'd like to welcome my co-organizer Elisabeth Klaffenbeck from the Austrian Aeronautics and Space Agency. And also the two speakers that we have invited for today, it's Leopold Zummerer from ESA, and he is responsible for OSIP. He will present the initiative and what you can do or how you can participate in it. And afterwards, we have Johannes Homer from Litos, an Austrian company who has already successfully OSIP projects running, and he will share his experience in the program with you. I'd also like to point out my colleague Florian Lippok. He is responsible for the technical assistance in the webinar. So if you encounter any problems, please refer to him, and he will try to help you as good as he can. And of course, I'm happy to welcome all of you, all the participants in the webinar, and I hope you will have an interesting hour now. The webinar will last approximately 1 hour, and we will provide you with the slides of the webinar afterwards. There will be room for questions after the presentations. Please use the chat function to ask your questions. The webinar will be recorded. I think we have gathered an interesting agenda for you today. So at the beginning, there will be a short welcome introduction from Elisabeth and my side. Then the main point is Leopold Zummerer presenting ESA OSIP. Afterwards, Johannes Homer will share his experiences with the OSIP video. And in the end, there will be room for questions and answers. So a very short introduction of Primatech in the beginning. We are organizing this webinar in our role as technology transfer broker for the European Space Agency in Austria. In this role, we are identifying space technologies, and we are trying to transfer these technologies to other domains, such as, for example, health tech or agriculture and so on. So I would like to remind you, if you have a problem, if you have a challenge or need, we would be happy to scout a space technology that fits your challenge. So I have inserted the link. If you want to share your need with us, I will send out the slides afterwards and you can share them with us. I would also like to share another initiative with you that might be of interest. We are participating in the SUN program. It's a European project running, and the objective is to support space companies and the transfer of space know-how to other domains as well. And there is hackathons running, there's roadshows running and workshops, and there's also a new call for incubation and acceleration programs which will start in autumn. So if you're interested in either the technology transfer program or the SUN program, please drop me a line and I will be happy to help you. Also a warm welcome to my side. My name is Elisabeth Klaffenbeck, as already mentioned. So where I'm coming from the Aeronautics and Space Agency. You see here, the Aeronautics and Space Agency in Austria is one part of FFG. I think FFG as a one-stop funding shop is well known to most of you. And as said, we are a part of FFG. What are our tasks? So the tasks of the Aeronautics and Space Agency.
Our main task is the representation of Austria in international boards connected to space matters. First of all, I have to mention ESA, the European Space Agency, which is our European agency, then European Union and EUMETSAT, and also in United Nations bodies. United Nations also deals with space, and I would say more and more. What we are doing is we plan and monitor the Austrian participation in ESA, EU and EUMETSAT, which means there are two parts. We need the funds for that, so we try to get the funds. And in addition, we plan the technical participation, so which parts of ESA are interesting for us and which are not interesting for us. In addition, we run a national space funding program, OSIP, Austrian Space Applications Program, and we are doing the management of this program in addition. What's very important since some years, minimum 10 years, is space applications. So how to use the space infrastructure. We are investing for people on the Earth. So how to use or how to maximize the benefit of Earth observation, satellite data, and also navigation data. This is a very important issue for us. And what's very important for us, for you, is what we are also doing is the management of ESA activities within Austrian actors. So if you're interested to participate in ESA activities, to apply for an ESA activity, we would recommend to you to contact us, as we have an overview if there is enough budget for this activity, if Austria is eligible to take part. So we absolutely recommend to contact us before, even if it's not mandatory. But we think it's close interest. So thank you. This is and maybe just most of you have a very good. So we went through the list of participants, and most of you know ESA, and we don't have to introduce ESA, the European Space Agency. But just one slide to give you an idea which key areas of space activities are done by ESA. So we have top left-hand side in green color, we have the applications part, which in this case means more the building the infrastructure for communication, navigation, and Earth observation. Then in blue, we have space safety and security. The main focus is here to ensure that the space infrastructure we built is not damaged. So this is the main. So we are relying on this space infrastructure, and we have to be sure that it works. So this is the main task here. Then we have science and exploration. So exploration, I think we go to Mars, we go to other planets. This is the main part here. And then we have enabling and support. So this is mostly monitoring of the satellites we run, and what we also need to bring our satellites into space are launchers. So this is very short description of the areas the European Space Agency is focusing on.
Thank you very much. If you want to contact Elisabeth or myself, here are our details. But of course, you can also find them in the web. And that was already the short introduction. And now I would like to hand over to Mr. Leopold Zummerer from ESA. And first of all, welcome to the webinar. Thank you very much for your willingness to share the details of OSIP with us. And yeah, the floor is yours, Leopold.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Very good, because I missed the beginning a little bit because of audio settings. Should I share my screen? I think you have to unshare.
Please.
So yes, my name is Leopold Samra. I'm working for ESA in ESTEC in Holland. And I'm happy to explain a little bit about how OSIP works, the function of OSIP, and how maybe some of you could benefit from it. It's not yet widely known because we introduced it only 2 years ago as a trial period. Maybe one comment before I start. It is so evident that Elisabeth didn't mention it, but we do quite a lot of technology also in ESA. And typically we put this under the enabling and support pillar, where indeed there is operations, there is launches, but there's also quite a large volume of different technology development activities. And these span from the very early proof of concepts, very low technology readiness level, up to in-orbit demonstrations of new technologies. And they're one of the elements that makes us a successful space agency, because it allows us to develop technologies and then to apply it, and eventually then to spin it out to commercial applications. So I just wanted to for most of you, it's anyway evident, and it's obviously evident for Elisabeth, who deals with technology programs on a day-to-day basis, but I thought it's worth mentioning in addition. So let me now share my screen. Oh, yeah, this is complicated. I hope this is working. Your screen sharing. Can I quickly ask Elisabeth if you see my screen?
Yes, we see your screen, Leopold.
Okay,
maybe it's a little
good.
bit small. Could you
So I go in presentation mode.
Presentation mode would be better. Yeah. Yes, perfect, Leopold.
Okay, very good. Thanks very much. In principle, we're not allowed to use Skype. Therefore, I'm not. We are not allowed to use Zoom. So there, I'm not a big Zoom expert. So yes, let me take a few minutes to explain you OSIP. OSIP stands for Open Space Innovation Platform. And I encourage you to go right away, maybe, or right after, to the platform, because it is relatively simple and self-explanatory at ideas.esa.int. Before going actually to OSIP, I want to have a slide on Agenda 2025. As technology is so self-evident for us now, Agenda 2025 is really the marching order for almost all and everything that we do. But it might not be that commonly known outside of ESA. Therefore, I thought I'll add a slide there. Also because we have the chance and the luck and the opportunity to having an Austrian Director General of ESA. I guess you all know about it, that Josef Aschbacher took up his function 1st of March this year, and he identified in a document called Agenda 2025 the big priorities for ESA. And OSIP is, of course, part of the solutions and the way to achieve these priorities. You see these 5 priorities on the left, and then on the right, I copied from the top priority actions the bullet points. Some of them are directly linked to what we do on OSIP, and this is boosting the technology strategy to achieve a faster development and adoption of innovative technologies. And to boost commercialization, we also have to help European industry the European space sector to develop, like NASA does, in a relatively smart way, the early steps to develop potentially game-changing technologies that then can help not only ESA space missions, but also commercial space activities in Europe. And this is clearly one of the big themes that Josef has identified for all of ESA, is that we in Europe, we need to help establishing, fostering, and then supporting a more vibrant commercial space sector in Europe. And that means a different role for ESA. That means also different types of partnerships, and what we try to do within all our ESA programs now is to identify how we can do this best, what is needed by industry from ESA, and what also we can supply. And this goes from access to technical facilities, this goes from access to technical competence, but also to funding, sharing risk and sharing benefits. So there's quite a lot of things currently ongoing. We have just published an implementation plan for this agenda, which lays out the steps for the next year in quite some detail, and then up to 2025, of course. Now, one of the steps is clearly better support and more support to innovation. And there, maybe it's worthwhile recalling where we come from in ESA. We have for quite a long time been essentially the central point of all space activities in Europe. But this is no longer necessarily the case, and therefore we change slightly how we interact with others. And one of these changes is that we completely opened the early TRL innovation pipeline. Before, what we did until 2 years ago is we essentially looked around within ESA, had our internal mechanisms and brainstormings, identified the new capabilities that we think will be able to make an impact on our space missions in the years to come, and then developed technology roadmaps, of course, got the approval of member states, and then had the classical R&D approach to develop them. Now, we changed this completely. And the mechanism to change this is this open space innovation platform, where we solicit ideas for new type of technical capabilities, new concepts from anybody out there. And we no longer assume, and this is one of the big differences, we no longer assume that everybody knows roughly how ESA is working, how the different programs are working, how the different deadlines and mechanisms are. But you essentially have a platform where you put in your idea, and ESA tries to help you finding the best implementation path in case this idea is considered interesting. And what this means, interesting, is something that I'm going to explain a little bit in the next few slides, but we can also maybe have this as part of the discussion afterwards. So Elisabeth mentioned already, ESA has quite a number of different programs, and member states decide which programs they want to participate to. But then there is also, and this is part of this mandatory program, which is the program that enables practically all other activities in ESA. So it has 3 objectives. One is enabling the future via early elements of the seamless chain of innovation. And there we under this objective, we fund the very early technology development. We fund the preparation of new missions in a way that is not constrained by geo return, and we fund the follow-up steps of the technologies before they then are moved into either an optional technology program or into mission related technology developments. So this enabling of the future via the early elements of the seamless chain of innovation, part of this objective is the discovery element, and that's the part that I'm responsible for. So the discovery and the preparation element, but today I'm talking only about the discovery element, and this is the part that is now completely open to ideas from anybody inside ESA and outside ESA, but focused on ideas from outside ESA. And the differentiator is novelty. Only once you pass a novelty step, then you're invited to mature your idea, and I'll explain what the follow-up steps are. But the main message here is, if you have new ideas of what type of technology could help future space activities, new concepts that would benefit from a co-funded research activity, then OSIP is the place to go. OSIP is the entry point for the basic activities discovery element, but OSIP has also become the main tool of ESA to organize call for ideas that are just before the formal procurement process. Now, the discovery element of the basic activity uses OSIP as the entry point. So there is no difference between an idea coming from outside of ESA or inside of ESA. They are all treated the same way. We have introduced it in also a different way than what we have typically done in ESA. So we bought a small a tool from a startup company, and we use it as it is. It's not ESA customized. In a year ago, we had about 2,000 users. Now, well over 8,000. We have two mechanisms in there. One are thematic campaigns, and I'm showing you some examples afterwards, and a permanently open and several permanently open channels. Among them, one for the discovery element, but there are also permanently open channels for other ESA programmatic activities like GSTP, Incubed, and so on. So out of the over 3,000 ideas, we have answered all of them. So that's one of the things that we try to do very thoroughly, is that whoever submits an idea, he gets quickly an informal feedback. This is not the formal evaluation. This is an informal feedback that is similar to the feedback that you would get if you are at a conference, you present something, and then you have a discussion afterwards with somebody from the audience about the potential interest in the concept, technology, or idea. We have only from the discovery element about 200 activities that are already contracted, that have gone through this two-stage process, which you see now. So here I'm explaining specifically this open discovery channel. So this is the permanently open channel, where we have a two-step process. One is you just need an email address. You don't even need an ESA entity code. You need a title, and you need a short description that cannot be longer than 2,000 characters, so roughly 200 words. And that should explain especially why this idea is novel and of potential interest to space. We evaluate this practically constantly. So the evaluation criteria is novelty, and we evaluate it every month, starting always on the third Friday of the month. So there's an evaluation session starting tomorrow. It lasts 9 days, so the week and the 2 weekends, and after these 9 days, you get the answer if your idea has been retained as novel, and you're invited to mature this idea into a proposal, or you get the answer that it hasn't passed the novelty threshold. So it's a very fast return, which of course, because it's fast, it isn't as thorough as you would expect from a full proposal, but it has the advantage of being quick. Now, when you submit your idea, you already can choose what you think is the best implementation path for your idea. And we have, within the discovery element, we have pre-configured 3 ways of how we can implement ideas. One is a fast track process, which is co-funded research, which at the moment is co-funding PhDs and postdocs to work on certain topics, where we fund 90,000 euros, up to 90,000 euros, and up to 50%. And this goes in a what we call fast track process, because all the process remains on OSIP, also the evaluation of the full proposal, and there we have the evaluation then of the full proposal also every month. So in case you are fast in maturing your idea into a research proposal, in theory, you can get a contract within less than 3 months, based on starting from the initial idea up to start of the activity. In reality, it's a little bit longer, and I have a slide on this showing you what's the actual timeline. But in most of these steps, it's not easy delaying the process. The second implementation path is called small system studies. So these are typically not involving hardware, but can involve algorithm, and these are small studies funded up to 100,000 euros on novel concepts that we have not yet looked at, or that have not been addressed in any other setting. And the third one is called early technology developments. So these are typically involving hardware, proof of concepts, where a new technology is either developed as such or in a new setting. But also there, the initial differentiator is novelty. And then I've put there on the right implementation outside of the discovery element, because this open discovery channel is also the simplest entry point for, if you don't know where, in which ESA programmatic frame your idea might best fit, this channel, we have set it up in a way that all ESA programs and directorates are represented there, and we don't yet have a formalized method, but it's already working in some programs better than in others, where we can simply then give you feedback and then channel your idea to a program outside of the discovery element of the basic activities. Of course, the basic activities, being a mandatory program of ESA, that's how we call it, means that there isn't any need for a support letter from the delegation. It's fully competitive, meaning there's also no geo return as such per activity. Therefore, it's really the best ideas that and the best proposals in the second stage that that will make it. And therefore, this is a way of measuring how good the different regions, countries, areas, member states are, of course. And I have to say that I have the data from the last 1.5 years shows that there is still not too many activities from Austria compared to the Austrian quality of the R&D environment, and therefore I'm happy that I have this occasion to speak to you about it, because I think in part it's because of the system and the mechanisms not being well known for those Austrian activities that actually have passed through this process. They were very good and got good evaluations, but overall there are not too many Austrian entities yet actively participating in campaigns and channels. Now, to give you some numbers, so just out of discovery element campaigns and channels in the last 1.5 years, we have received a bit over 1,400 ideas. Most of them came via campaigns, and in my next slide I show you the themes of the campaigns. But there are also over 500 ideas that came via this open channel, and some of them actually from Austria. Then you see that the fast track, the co-funded research activities process, we have about 100 activities that went through it. There are two numbers there because sometimes there's a delay in the signing process by universities, but we are working on this. Then 35 studies and 60 early technology development activities that already have been contracted, meaning having passed the idea step and then the maturation into a proposal, the evaluation of the proposal, and the actual contracting then. I've spoken a lot about the open channel because this is the most open way, the most open entry point that ESA ever had for its R&D pipeline. But we also have an attractive additional mechanism on OSIP, where we define an issue, a problem, a challenge area, and we ask for new ideas, new solutions, how to address them. And what you see there are the different campaigns that we have run. So these in OSIP, in the system, this is called a campaign. The difference to the channel is that there is a time limitation up to when you can submit your idea. Then typically there are a few weeks where you can improve your idea based on comments, feedback from others. And then there is the evaluation, and following the evaluation, you're then invited to make a full proposal out of it. What you see there is the number of ideas that have been received in the different campaigns. So the first one was actually on addressing marine litter issues, which was a topic where we're not actually entirely sure in the beginning how much you could address it from space, and we got some very smart ideas which are currently being implemented. The first and the first studies are actually just closing. The first one was closing yesterday there. I'm not going through all the campaigns, but you see that there are quite different type of topics. Some are very technical, some are like the COTS campaign or the model-based system engineering, one of the big strategy priorities for the ESA technology strategy. It's part of the digital engineering objective. Some are more exploratory, like concepts for exploring lunar lava tubes. Some are actually ideas for running small experiments on OPSAT. And together with the technology development element, we've just closed the Star Tiger campaign, where we called for new concepts for running this Star Tiger scheme, Star Tiger projects, where we boost a certain technology by co-locating teams from academia, industry, and the agency. Now, on the next slide, you see a little bit the duration and these different steps. So typically, the first step is as a user, you submit your idea on OSIP. And when you say submit, we encourage everybody to submit ideas early, and then press the button that you're not yet ready to be evaluated, but you're still going to work on it. Why we do this is because this allows us to identify ESA experts who might be interested in this idea, who might be able to give you comments, feedback, improvement suggestions. And this is done on the platform, fully transparent. These are not the person that are evaluating your ideas, but these are the type of feedback and comments that you would get, as I mentioned before, when you go to a conference, you present your concept, your idea, your technology, and afterwards, over a coffee break or at the conference question and answer session, you get comments, you get feedback. And that's the type of feedback that we are allowed to give, that we are happy to give. Therefore, we encourage you to submit the idea in the draft form and give us more time to identify expertise within ESA that could help you making your idea even more relevant. So you get this first feedback. Typically that leads to idea authors saying, well, then I change it there, I adapt it there, they modify and improve the idea. And once you're ready with and you think, well, now my idea, I want it to be evaluated, you click the button ready for evaluation, and we automatically included in the next monthly evaluation round. Since we have it every month, you don't really lose much time, and it is counterproductive to submit ideas just before the evaluation start, because then you have less chances of ESA giving you some suggestions. We evaluate the idea. This is taking this 1 week plus the 2 weekends, and then all the ideas that are passing the novelty threshold are invited to get matured into proposals. And they are then evaluated. Here you see the evaluation for the co-funded research activities implementation path, because this is all on OSIP, so it's easier to process. And following this is then the procurement process, where you get for this co-funded research activities then a contract, and at the moment there's still too much time lost by issuing the contract and getting it signed, which is the necessary step before it can go ahead. Let me mention here one thing that I didn't mention before. It is evident on the site. The site is called Open Space Innovation Platform, and as a user, you can choose whether you submit your idea so that it's visible only to ESA and the evaluators, or if it's visible to anybody, meaning it's public, which has the advantage that you can get comments not only from ESA but from others, and this has proven very beneficial, especially for research projects where it might be of interest to team up with others. But it's your choice. About 1/3 of all the ideas are submitted openly, and 2/3 are submitted what is called confidential. Now, this is a bit geographical distribution of submitted co-funded research ideas, and you see there Austria is not overly prominent. Therefore, I'm happy to have the occasion of this presentation. Since I'm already at 25 minutes, I'm going to skip these slides, which just show the evolution and the monthly evaluation steps for being invited into the proposal phase, and then the proposal evaluations where we take the best 5 proposals every month and we give a direct contract to these best 5 ideas. And you see these bumps in the red line there. Very similar for studies and for early technology development activities. If you want to have a little bit a better feeling of what ideas are being selected and have already gone through this process, I invite you to follow this link. Every month we publish the full list of activities that have gone through OSIP and then are contracted. It's still only giving the title, the short abstract, and the entity with whom we have made the contract. But it gives a good indication of the type of activities that have gone through, and these are the ones that are currently with involvement of Austrian entities. And with this, I would like to save the rest of the time for questions and answers, and I end with Josef's slide and the motto of Agenda 2025: make space for Europe. Thanks very much. Thanks, Susanne and Elisabeth, and I'm of course happy to address any questions, concerns.
Thank you very much, Leopold, for this very interesting and super overview on the ESA OSIP. I think this has declared a lot of questions. If anyone has a question, I would ask them to already type them in the chat function. However, we will have the Q&A session after the next presentation, which will be Mr. Johannes Homer from Liptos. So I think we can combine all the questions that we have for the last session in the webinar today. So thank you very much, Leopold. And hello, Johannes. Thank you very much for your willingness to share your experiences on the ESA OSIP. Liptos has already running projects within OSIP, and Johannes will share his experiences, his ups and downs, whatever he can share with you today, so that you have a better understanding on how it is on the other end, on how it is on the end of the one taking the OSIP funding. So thank you very much, Johannes, and we can see your slides already.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me and for giving us the opportunity to present here what we did so far on OSIP. I think it's also interesting to see how the journey was there, what we did before that. And so just very briefly, let me introduce you to the company. So for those who don't know us, just very briefly, we are the world market leader in ceramic 3D printing, which means we are offering the printers, the materials and software for these kinds of application. I don't want to go into detail of the technology, but we are using a lithography-based approach where we can process highly viscous material as they are needed for ceramics. Here you see our systems which we are using, and what we already have as well. Our newest system, the Serifab Multi, which can process also multi-materials. Might be also interesting for space applications. Here, just to give you an overview of what we can print, very different materials so basically all ceramics from alumina to zirconia to more advanced materials like silicon nitride, but also dielectric materials, which are important currently for our ESA activity, as well as moon dust. And this is where we started to work with, was also moon dust and the dielectric material, but this is what I will tell you in a second. So just to get a little bit an idea of how was our experience with ESA so far. So we had the first project idea which we ever had was in 2013. This was rejected by ESA. We were not so well known there. We did not maybe follow the rules which are necessary, and it was rejected. Then we had from an important company, Prime, we were pushed to move into a certain direction to get a material on our systems. Since we wanted to be a reliable ESA partner, we were not ready to go for a GSTP, which was for us far too much, because we could not guarantee success. Since we think that 3D printing is important for ESA and we want to be established as a good partner, we were getting this pressure back and saying no, we will not participate. But then they came up with a first with these de-risk activities, which was the perfect match for this one. And then we started to work on a de-risk activity in 2018. But on the other hand, as I said, these dielectric materials for waveguides and RF components was something where we were more confident. And there we had a first GSTP action as well with a Prime. And now we just started a new de-risk activity, also with new ideas to work with, and this has just started now in 21, and hopefully we can make this de-risk activity from 2018 also a GSTP action to move forward there as well. So you see, it was not an easy start to go there for us for ESA, but we just kept going, and we wanted to be part of that. And then we had something which I was just presenting, this moon dust printing, or the regolith printing. So basically this had nothing to, this was nothing pushed by us. I was contacted by the Austrian company Liquifer. I guess most of you know them. They had a project, and running project. It was called Urban, and this was for in situ resource utilization. So to use moon dust on the moon to print parts there. And since our expertise is ceramic 3D printing, they contacted us and were asking us if we could somehow support them a little bit. And then we got into this Urban team, not as a team member, but as a let's call it a stakeholder. And then we made a first innovation study on this moon dust. And here you can see from the ESA website our first printed parts with moon dust from this innovation study. And there we also put a lot of effort in publishing those results. So together with ESA, we were trying to push on that, as well as ESA was very happy to see us pushing there and seeing those cool results we were able to achieve. And this was also quite a huge market response from this publishing effort. So We even made it into the Wall Street Journal with printing moon dust, and of course a lot of local newspaper response. And I think that's also important. You should make use of what you do with ESA as long as it's possible to make it, because that's cool stuff which most newspapers or publishers are interested in. But we also published a scientific paper on that. So if you're interested, you have here the link, or you can get it also from me. But that was our first, that was the idea of understanding what is in situ resource utilization, which means how can you make use from moon dust or from material which is on the moon. And there we had during this urban phase or urban team, I made contact with Antonella Scampati from OHB, and she was excited to see that and see the results. And then we were, trying to elaborate new ideas how we can move forward from that, because this was just a very short study and it was printed here. And as it's usually, you want to go to the next step, and then we decided to move forward. Also, I think that's also important. Also, in being still in contact with ESA, talking about these ideas with ESA, encouraged by ESA to move forward there. I think this helps a little bit here, but definitely, as Leopold was already mentioning, this OSIP is a different approach. So it's not so much as the other projects being so focused on what they want, but also they want to see here's some new ideas. But anyway, I think it just helps to be there. So this was our first project, which we handed in. So basically, we handed in 2 projects actually. And both were funded. So this first loop-in is actually the next generation of printing this moon dust. So the adoption of the lithography-based ceramic manufacturing to process the lunar regolith and optimize it for printing it on the moon and under microgravity, so to say. Basically what it is, it's just a study. So it's really together with OHB to work out the study. How can we make use, or how can we really make it happen to print the lunar regolith really on the moon? Because the current setup which we're using is of course optimized for printing under Earth conditions, so which means under gravity, and so we need to think about how these machines should look like if we want to print under microgravity. The budget for this one was 100,000 euros in total. So OHB and us together, we about 100,000. We have 100,000 euros, and the duration is 9 months for this project. And the second project is the Lemon project. Here we are using a novel technology, the lithography-based metal manufacturing process, to produce highly accurate parts from recycled powders from scrap metals on the moon. So the idea is to use the landing vehicles and all that, where you already have then metals on the moon, so you don't need to extract the metals from the ore there, but you can really use those metals already. You just have to find a way how to make powder out of it. With the LLM technology, you are very flexible in what kind of powder you use, so that's quite easy. And this in contrast is an early technology development. So it's not a study, but really to showcase to show what can be printed with it or with the scrap metals. Here again, the coordinator is OHB, and the partner here is Incus, where you or an additional partner is Incus, where you see in the right-hand side here a picture of what they can do and what they can print out of metals. The budget here is a little bit high, it's 170,000 euros, and the duration is 18 months. So here we really need to print here with these metals some parts and show that it's possible to use these scrap metals to print parts. So what are the, well, a little bit what's behind the curtain. So as Leopold was already mentioning, the effort for a proposal is quite different for those who are already in these GSTP actions or with other projects. OSIP is really easier to access. It's easier to deal with it. It's not so much effort, but of course it's also not so big. But I think that was also the idea from ESA to lower the entry barriers for these projects. I think the contact with ESA is not really absolutely necessary, but I think it's beneficial to get feedback and to understand a little bit about the needs. Yeah, I think in contrast, I was also asked to talk a little bit about, in contrast, maybe what's a normal FFG project and what's an ESA project. Basically, there is much more interaction with the project officer. So really monthly reports here, and I don't, with OSIP maybe not a monthly report, but with others you have to do really monthly report. They are really they are part of the project, so to say, in contrast from normal FFG projects where they are you know, just at the end evaluating if you have used your money correctly. But here you have a more interaction just with ESA, which, I mean, I think it's good and makes sense. Then you have also in contrast to FFG, you really have contract negotiations. So you really negotiate the contract, and which is not just signing the contract and say that's it. You really negotiate with them, which is also, as a matter of fact, just to mention that. And maybe what is also in contrast to FFG, the effort and the usability for making the proposal is different from how the FFG is doing it at the moment. So it's a little bit more paperwork and not, so the usability is maybe not always that easy. But as always, it's doable if you want to do it. So that was my remarks on that. Just now, what the next projects, what the next ideas. So we have already new projects ideas on the horizon. Our idea is that we want to be a leading partner in additive manufacturing for ESA. So we are really trying to be very successful in what we do, and we want to get that, what we call it internally ESA approved. So whatever ESA, if something is flying, we can use it for other things as well. And these are those spillover effects we expect from this work doing with ESA, not only on the financial point of view and technology point of view, but also, I think, also important on the marketing point of view. So I hope I could give you a little bit insights into that. And here you have the contact details if you need them. And I'm happy to answer the questions you have. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, Johannes, for this super insight into being a project taker from the ESA OSIP program. So I think this was very valuable for the people here to understand how these projects are executed in practice. So thank you very much for that. If there are questions, please write them in the chat. There are already some. So the first question is, can we get more information on the topic sustainable H2? I think this question, Leopold, might be directed to you.
So I probably don't see the same questions. Can you repeat it?
Mm-hmm. Can we get more information on the topic sustainable H2?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Sustainable H2 was a campaign that we ran where we asked for new ideas how to generate hydrogen. And it is currently the campaign is closed. We have currently the evaluation of the proposals, and the first activities I hope will start still this summer. And of course we will publish what like all the others, what came out of it. But if you are interested more into the campaign and what is the baseline, the background, it remains public also once we have closed it. So you just go to OSIP and you go into the campaigns, the past campaigns, and then you see all the past campaigns with all the results. And once an activity is contract, this answers the question.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for that. The next question, I think this is also directed to you, Leopold. Does the funding rate of 50% also apply for system studies? Maybe you can in general say more a bit about the funding rates.
Yeah, good question. I didn't explicitly mention it. The simple answer is no. So the 50% requirement for co-funding is only a hard requirement for the co-funded research activities. For system studies and for early technology development activities, we fund up to 100%, though we encourage co-funding and in-kind contributions, but they are not mandatory. So the simple answer there is no, it's 100% from ESA as maximum.
Okay, thank you very much. The next one is maybe rather a comment, but still, just to clarify, can you basically submit an idea anytime, and you don't really have to know if it's a system study or co-funded research, but the specific funding program is identified by ESA in the feedback round?
Yes, the simple answer is yes. Though when you submit your idea, you have the choice between clicking any of the three options, or you say other. And in any case, you get a feedback from us if we think that your option is not the most suitable one. So typically, if there's no hardware involved and you ask for an early technology development activity, you will get the feedback. It seems that your activity is more suitable for a study. Or if it's a very basic research and there is not yet a solid theoretical baseline for this, then we would suggest teaming up with an academic team and making rather a co-funded research activity. So yes, you submit your idea. You can just click others if you don't know, and you will get some feedback from ESA. But we encourage you, of course, to look at the information that we provide. We have short paragraphs describing these implementation schemes, and I think it's not that difficult to figure out what is the most suitable one. But you can submit at any moment, and we guide you through the process. That's correct.
Okay, I think this is a super approach, especially for the newcomers to ESA. To help them really finding the right and suitable instrument for them. The next question is, where can we find the recording? Okay, this we can ask in a simple way. After the webinar, we will send an email to you where you can find the link to the presentations, the slides presented today, and also the recording of the webinar. Okay, the next question. What is the tensile strength of the compressed lunar material? I think, Johannes, that goes to you.
Yeah, basically, we did not yet measure any mechanical properties. It was really just to show that it's possible to print it. But basically, you can compare it since the lunar or the moon is made of a similar material as Earth. It's similar to bricks. So that's the tensile strength is rather low, but the compression strength is something which is quite high.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question, I think, Leopold, this one is for you again. Is it possible to apply for research funding in case someone is part of a recently running project, but in a different research area?
Absolutely.
That's the short answer. Thank you. Okay, is there any other questions from the audience? If not, I would have one.
I would actually have one.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yes. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Leopold.
Yeah, I would have one for Johannes. You mentioned that there is too much paperwork involved compared to the FFG grants, and I would be interested in getting your suggestions of what we can improve there, and
Yeah.
because in principle I thought that the paperwork is gone because we have all electronic, but if you still had some.
I mean, I was not the one who was handing it in, but if you give me if you send me your email address or something, I can get you in contact with Martin, who was doing all that. It was just his feedback that
That's
it's not so much electronic. Maybe he's using an old version. I don't know. But at least,
I don't think we accept any non-electronic submissions. So
I think you have to print out some stuff and sign the stuff. But you know, I'm better to ask Martin. He's
okay. Yeah,
right person. It was just one of the, and I don't want it to be too unpredictable. But he just told me that this is something I could mention, that it's different from what he used to do within FFG proposals.
Yeah, so I'm very happy to learn from the efficiency of FFG proposals. So maybe I have to speak with Elizabeth how we can improve based on your apparently more efficient process.
Yeah, I mean, if you can forward me your email address or somehow I can get you in contact with Martin.
Susanne, can you do this?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Or you can even send Martin's email address.
Yeah, I will do that.
And Leopold, we can discuss this matter, of course.
Leopold, one more question came to me when I saw the arrow that you presented on your slide showing the process from submitting the idea to the contract. Can you maybe also say how long this process takes in average from the idea to the contract signature?
Yeah, I of course should have brought this up. Actually, we measure it, of course, and I don't have it now. I think it's the average is 4.5 months, I think, but I'll have to. I don't want this. While you have a next question, I'll look it up.
But I think this sounds good. So we tried to make our conclusions out of this figure, and this was roughly what we found out. But would nice to have a confirmation on that.
Yeah, the full figures and all is in the IPC report that you got, of course, Elizabeth. But just open it.
Okay. One final question to Johannes, maybe. Johannes, you mentioned in one of your first slides the possibility of de-risk activities. And I think this might be an instrument that could be of interest also for the audience. Can you just quickly explain what this is?
Yeah, I mean, it's from my understanding, but the ESA is much more better, I think. But GSTP is something where you really need to deliver something. You know, you have to make sure that you deliver what you propose. And we didn't feel very confident with one of the projects, and so we didn't move forward with that. We were like on the break, and then they came up with the de-risk activity, and I said that was perfectly suited for a new idea. I mean, it's not so brand new as this OSIP, which is maybe more open, but it was something where we did not know if we will meet what was expected by ESA, and so we felt comfortable with doing a de-risk activity, where of course you still have to deliver something, and where you still are encouraged to meet the goals. But at least for us, this was a good opportunity to move into an ESA project without being blamed at the end that we cannot deliver what we think, and so what we thought we might be able to deliver, and so that was for us a perfect idea, and they are and this will move now into hopefully GSTP action. So this was really something great to get the first to start a project first, and to see how far you can go, and from that you can take the next step then.
Maybe I could complement this. What you're saying is absolutely the right way, and this is the idea behind. So it's running under GSTP, and it's dedicated for small activities, so under 200 kilo, and maximum 9 months. And the idea is exactly to have activities there where you have still barriers. Yeah, so you have a milestone, and you don't know if you reach a certain criteria, for example. And if you don't reach a certain criteria for stiffness, for example, or whatever, then it would not make sense to go on with the activity. And in this case, of course, it's not wise to apply for the whole activity. You just have the first part to de-risk the activity. Then you know, okay, my idea will fly or will not fly. And this is the idea behind, and I think this was a very good idea from ESA to implement this. This is one step. So you have GSTP, then you have the risk, and then you have OSIP, I would say. So in terms of yeah.
Okay, so
if you want, I found the exact average durations. I can share them here if you want. Do you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yes, now.
Yes. So it takes in average 5 days until your idea gets feedback and gets qualified, and this is the type of thing where we check that there is a space link of the idea, that is not violating basic laws of physics, and we also get quite a lot of actually not that much, but still there's quite some scam in there that we don't even want to evaluate, because they're written not in English, and so we get things all over. So it's roughly 5 days. Then typically we give some feedback, and this is the maturation phase, where the authors take about 50 days to improve their idea, and until they click ready for evaluation. Then we take 12 days in ESA to do the actual evaluation of the idea. And after these 12 days, you are invited to mature your idea into a full proposal. And authors take on average 114 days. So I have to be fair there. This is really days. This is not work days. So this is including weekends. So it's just a counting of the average days. Some are really fast, and some take much longer. So we give them a maximum of 4 months, but we are not very strict, I have to say. And then we do the evaluation. We take 12 days. And after the evaluation, this is the process that has actually no added technical value, and where in the last year I spent most of my energy in shortening it, because that's then the procurement process, making the shopping cart and the publication on ESA Star, and then the signing on the both sides, which is of no added value to anybody, but it takes way too much time. So these are the actual figures. They have improved over the first year, but we are still not where we actually want to be. But in essence, at this stage, you already know that you get the draft contract, but you cannot yet start because there is not yet the signature, which, as I mentioned, takes a little bit longer than it should. I hope this answers the question.
Thank you very much for that. So there are no other questions in the chat. So I think we can now end the webinar. Thank you very much to my co-hosts, to Elisabeth, to Leopold, to Johannes. Thank you very much for your valuable contribution to the webinar today. Thanks for the participants. I hope you enjoyed it. You will receive an email containing all the presentations and the recording for today. And if you have any questions, please refer to myself or to Elisabeth. You will find the contact details, and we are ready to help you and direct you to wherever you need. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye-bye.